The plow hit another rock, and Owen Keller swore under his breath. 3 years on frontier, 7, and the ground still fought him every step. He wiped sweat from his forehead and looked across his fields. The grain was coming in decent this season. Maybe decent enough to finally fix the broken equipment in his barn. Something screamed across the sky. Owen dropped flat as a burning streak tore through the clouds. The sonic boom rattled his teeth. He watched the object spiral downward, trailing smoke and fire. It disappeared into the forest beyond his property line. A moment later, a distant crash echoed across the valley that he should report it. That was the rule. Anything unusual got reported to the settlement council. But Owen was already walking toward the tree line. His rifle hung on his shoulder, more habit than preparation. The forest held plenty of things that could kill a man. Everyone knew that. Smart colonists stayed out. Owen had stopped being smart a long time ago. The trees swallowed him within minutes. The canopy blocked most of the sunlight. Strange calls echoed from deeper in the woods. Things rustled in the undergrowth. Owen kept his hand near his rifle, but did not draw it. Most predators avoided humans unless provoked or desperate. He followed the path of broken branches and scorched leaves. The pod sat in a small clearing. It was barely bigger than a storage crate, crumpled and smoking. Strange symbols covered its surface, definitely not human writing. The hatch hung open at an odd angle. Something moved inside. Owen approached slowly. His boots crunched on fallen branches no matter how careful he stepped. The movement inside the pod stopped. He heard breathing, fast and shallow. Frightened breathing, he knelt beside the pod and looked inside. That a creature stared back at him with enormous golden eyes. It was covered in deep blue scales that shimmered even in the dim light. Wings, or what remained of wings, were crumpled against its body. One was clearly broken, bent at an impossible angle. Blood, dark purple and thick, dripped from multiple wounds. The creature was small, maybe the size of a large dog, but Owen recognized it immediately. Dracos, a dragon species from somewhere near the galactic core. He had seen pictures in the colony database. They were listed as apex predators. Highly intelligent, extremely dangerous. The kind of thing you shot on sight if it showed up on your world. This one was a baby, and it was dying. The creature opened its mouth. A weak flame flickered out, barely enough to singe the air. It tried to back deeper into the pod, but there was nowhere to go. Its eyes were wild with terror. Owen held up both hands, keeping them open and visible. He did not reach for his weapon. "Easy," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The Dracos did not understand his words, but it stopped trying to flame him. Those golden eyes watched his every movement. Owen could see its sides heaving with each painful breath. The broken wing was swelling. Without treatment, infection would set in quickly. On Frontier 7, infection meant death. He should walk away. Report this to the authorities. They would come with heavy weapons and make sure the threat was eliminated. That was the sensible thing. The safe thing. Owen thought about his daughter. She had been 6 when the pack of razorbacks broke through their fence. He had been in the fields, too far away. His wife had tried to protect her. Neither had survived. That was 2 years ago. Since then, Owen had worked his farm alone. He spoke to his neighbors only when necessary. He existed, but did not live. There was a difference. The Dracos whimpered. The sound was small and broken. Nothing like the terrifying roar Owen expected from the species. It was the sound of a child in pain. Owen made his decision. He pulled off his jacket, moving slowly so the creature could see everything he did. The Dracos tensed, but did not attack. Owen reached into the pod carefully, speaking in a low, calm voice. The creature snapped at him, teeth clicking shut inches from his hand. He did not pull back. He waited. After a long moment, the Dracos stopped snapping. It was too weak to keep fighting. Owen wrapped his jacket around the small body as gently as possible. The creature cried out when he touched the broken wing. The sound went through Owen like a knife. "I know," he whispered. "I know it hurts. We'll fix it. I promise." He lifted the bundle carefully and stood. The Dracos struggled weakly, but lacked the strength to break free. Owen held it close to his chest, letting it feel his warmth through the jacket. Slowly, the struggling stopped. The creature's breathing remained fast, but it no longer tried to escape. Owen started the walk back to his farm. His mind raced through what he would need: medical supplies, heat lamps, soft bedding, a safe place to hide the creature where no one would see. If anyone found out he was harboring a Draco's, they would remove it immediately. Probably kill it just to be safe. He looked down at the small face peeking out from his jacket. Those golden eyes met his. There was still fear there, but something else too. A tiny spark of hope. "You're going to be okay," Owen said. "I don't know what happened to you or where you came from, but you're safe now. Nobody's going to hurt you while I'm around." The Draco's made a soft sound, almost like a chirp. Then it closed its eyes and pressed closer to Owen's chest, finally allowing itself to rest. Owen walked faster. He had work to do. Owen's barn smelled like old hay and machine oil. He cleared a space in the corner farthest from the door and spread clean blankets on the ground. The heat lamps usually kept newborn livestock warm during cold nights. Tonight, they would serve a different purpose. The Draco's lay where he had placed it, wrapped in his jacket. Its breathing had steadied during the walk back, but those golden eyes tracked every movement Owen made. Trust would not come easy. Owen understood that. He gathered his supplies: antiseptic from the medical kit, bandages, water, a bowl of dried meat mint for the farm dogs. He set everything within reach and sat down a few feet from the creature. "I need to look at your injuries," Owen said quietly. "It's going to hurt." "I am sorry." The Draco's hissed when he reached for it. Small flames flickered from its nostrils. Owen did not flinch. He kept his movements slow and predictable. When his hand touched the jacket, the creature tried to bite him. Its teeth caught his sleeve, but did not break skin. "I know you're scared." Owen continued talking, his voice steady. "You don't know me. You don't know if you can trust me. But that wing needs help. Those cuts need cleaning. If we don't do this, you'll get sicker." He unwrapped the jacket carefully. The Draco's fought him with what little strength it had left. Owen's heart ached at how weak those struggles were. This child was exhausted and in terrible pain. The broken wing made Owen wince. The bone was clearly fractured, possibly in multiple places. He had set broken bones on animals before, but never anything like this. He did his best, using strips of cloth to create a splint that would hold the wing in a natural position. The Dracos shrieked during the process, a sound so full of agony that Owen almost stopped. But stopping would mean letting infection set in. Stopping would mean death. "Almost done," he whispered, blinking back tears. "You're being so brave." "Almost done." He cleaned the wounds with antiseptic. Each touch made the creature flinch. He worked as quickly as possible while still being thorough. When he finally finished, Owen sat back and took a shaky breath. The Dracos lay panting on the blankets, too exhausted to fight anymore. Owen pushed the bowl of meat closer and then moved to the other side of the barn. He sat with his back against the wall and simply watched. Hours passed. The creature did not eat. It barely moved. Owen talked quietly about nothing important, just filling the silence with the sound of his voice. He talked about his crops, about the weather, about the repairs he needed to make. He talked about his daughter, how she used to help him feed the chickens, how she laughed at everything. The Dracos listened. Its eyes never closed, but the fear in them slowly faded to something else. Caution maybe. Uncertainty. When full darkness fell, Owen stood slowly. "I'll be back in the morning. The lamps will keep you warm. Try to eat something if you can." He left the barn and walked to his empty house. Inside, he heated soup he did not taste and sat at a table meant for 3. 2 years had not made the silence easier. The next morning, Owen found the meat bowl empty. Relief flooded through him. The Draco's was curled under the heat lamp, eyes closed. It woke when Owen entered, but did not try to attack. Progress. This pattern continued. Owen came 3 times each day. He changed bandages. He brought food and fresh water. He sat and talked about everything and nothing. The Draco's stopped trying to flame him after the 2nd day. By the 4th day, it watched him work with clear curiosity rather than fear. On the 7th evening, something changed. Owen was talking about the broken irrigation system in his south field when the Dracos made a sound. Not a hiss or a growl. A chirp, high and questioning. Owen stopped talking and looked at the creature. It chirped again, tilting its head. You want to know more about the irrigation? Owen asked, smiling for the first time in weeks. The Dracos blinked slowly and chirped once more. Owen explained how water flowed through the pipes, using his hands to show the system. The Dracos watched intently, making small sounds when it seemed interested. It was trying to communicate, learning. You're smart, Owen said softly. Really smart. I should have guessed. Your species is supposed to be highly intelligent. He held out his hand, palm up, not reaching toward the creature, just offering. The Dracos looked at his hand for a long time. Then, slowly, it stretched its neck forward. The tip of its snout touched Owen's palm for just a moment before pulling back. Owen's chest felt tight. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you for trusting me. That night, Owen brought a chair into the barn. He sat beside the Dracos as it ate. The creature no longer flinched when he moved. When Owen reached out slowly, the Dracos allowed him to gently touch the top of its head. The scales were warm and smooth. You need a name, Owen said. Can't just keep calling you the Dracos. How about Pip? Short and simple. The creature, Pip, chirped happily and pressed into Owen's hand. For the first time since losing his family, Owen felt something other than emptiness. This small, injured creature needed him. And maybe, just maybe, he needed Pip too. In the quiet barn, surrounded by the smell of hay and the warm glow of heat lamps, two broken souls began to heal together. 2 weeks changed everything. Pip's wounds healed faster than Owen expected. The cuts closed and the swelling went down. The wing remained damaged, bent at an angle that would never straighten completely. Pip would not fly again, but the young Dracos adapted quickly, learning to balance without relying on both wings. More importantly, Pip had stopped hiding. Owen woke each morning to find Pip waiting outside his bedroom door. The creature followed him everywhere, staying close but never interfering with farm work. When Owen checked the grain stores, Pip investigated alongside him. When Owen repaired fence posts, Pip watched with bright, curious eyes. The intelligence was remarkable. Owen started teaching Pip simple signals. 1 chirp for yes, 2 for no. A raised hand meant stay. A beckoning gesture meant come. Within days, Pip understood all of them and created a few signals of their own. But understanding came with pain. 2.1 evening, Pip began making sounds Owen had never heard before. Long, mournful notes that resonated in the chest. The creature's head was tilted toward the sky, toward the stars becoming visible in the darkening light. Owen sat beside Pip on the porch. You miss them, don't you? Your family. Pip turned those golden eyes to Owen, and the sadness there was unmistakable. The creature pressed close to Owen's side, still singing that heartbroken song. I know what it's like, Owen said quietly. He pointed to the field beyond the house. That's where it happened. Razorbacks broke through the fence. I was too far away. My wife, my daughter, they didn't have time to get inside. Pip went silent. The creature's head rested on Owen's leg, listening. Her name was Sarah. My daughter. She was 6. She loved the chickens. Used to name every single one. Owen's voice cracked. It's been 2 years, and the house still feels too big. Too quiet. Pip made a soft sound, something between a chirp and a hum. The creature began to glow faintly, scales shimmering with soft blue light. Owen felt warmth spread through him. Not physical heat, but something deeper. Comfort. Understanding. You can feel it, can't you? Owen whispered. What I'm feeling, that's your gift. Pip chirped once. Yes. They sat together as darkness fell completely. 2 beings who had lost everything, finding solace in each other's presence. The next morning, Owen was checking the fence line when Pip suddenly tensed. The creature's nostrils flared, and a low growl rumbled in its throat. Owen grabbed his rifle, instinctively. 3 Razorbacks prowled at the edge of the field. They were massive predators, all teeth and claws and muscle. Each one weighed as much as Owen. They had been testing his defenses, looking for weak points. Pip stepped in front of Owen. The young Dracos was barely a third of the size of 1 Razorback. But there was no fear in Pip's stance, only determination. The lead Razorback charged. Pip's mouth opened and flame poured out. Real fire this time. Not the weak flickers from 2 weeks ago. The Razorback yelped and veered away. The other two circled, trying to flank them. Owen raised his rifle, but Pip was faster. The Dracos moved like water, despite the injured wing. Fire forced one Razorback back. Claws raked across another's shoulder. Pip was protecting Owen, defending the human who had saved them. Owen fired twice, driving the predators away from Pip. The Razorbacks were smart enough to recognize a losing fight. They retreated into the forest, leaving Owen and Pip breathing hard in the empty field. Owen knelt and checked Pip for injuries. A few scratches, but nothing serious. "You didn't have to do that," he said. "You could have been killed." Pip chirped firmly and bumped their head against Owen's chest. The meaning was clear. "You saved me. I protect you now. We protect each other," Owen corrected gently. "That's how this works." But their fight had drawn attention. Owen heard the sound of a vehicle approaching. He looked up to see his neighbor, Ruth Hammond, pulling up in her truck. Ruth was older than Owen by a decade, tough as iron and sharp as broken glass. She climbed out and stopped dead when she saw Pip. "Owen," Ruth said slowly, her hand moving to the rifle in her truck. "That's a Draco's. Her name is Pip," Owen said calmly, standing between Ruth and Pip. "She crashed here 2 weeks ago, injured. I've been helping her heal." Ruth's eyes were wide. "Those things are dangerous. You know that. Everyone knows that. She's a child," Owen said firmly. "A refugee. Her family is dead. She was alone and hurt and terrified. She just fought off 3 Razorbacks," Ruth pointed out, but her hand had stopped reaching for the rifle. "To protect me," Owen replied. "Not because she's vicious, because she cares." Pip stayed behind Owen, but chirped softly at Ruth. Not threatening, just greeting. Ruth looked between Owen and Pip for a long moment. Then she sighed and relaxed. "You've always been too kind for your own good, Owen Keller. Is that a bad thing? On this world?" "Usually." Ruth walked closer slowly, watching Pip's reaction. "But maybe that's exactly what this world needs more of." She stopped a few feet away and nodded to Pip. "Nice to meet you, Pip. I am Ruth." Pip chirped once and tilted their head. Ruth looked at Owen. "You know, if anyone else finds out, they'll report to the council. They'll take her away." "I know. Then I guess I better not tell anyone," Ruth said. She smiled slightly. "Your secret's safe with me." Relief flooded through Owen. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet," Ruth warned. "Keeping this quiet is going to be harder than you think." She was right. But as Owen watched Pip and Ruth carefully approach each other, he knew he would do whatever it took. Pip had found shelter with him. Now it was his job to make sure that shelter lasted. The transport shuttle landed in the center of town 3 days after Ruth discovered Pip. Owen watched from a distance, his stomach tight with worry. Official visits were never good news. Point 3 figures emerged. 2 were aliens Owen did not recognize, wearing Galactic Council uniforms. The third was human, a woman with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. She wore the badge of an enforcement agent. Ruth appeared beside Owen, her arms crossed. "That's Agent Lyra Cross. She's got a reputation for following regulations down to the smallest detail." "What are they here for?" Owen asked. "Safety inspection, supposedly. But word is someone reported unusual predator activity. Strange sounds at night." Ruth glanced at Owen. "You know anything about that?" Owen's throat went dry. Pip had been crying out in their sleep the past few nights, reliving whatever trauma had destroyed their family. The sounds carried far in the quiet darkness. "I need to get home," Owen said. "Too late. They're doing house-to-house checks." Ruth gripped his shoulder. "Keep calm. Maybe they won't find anything." But Owen knew better. He rushed back to his farm, his heart pounding. Pip was in the barn, playing with a piece of rope Owen had given them. The Dracos looked up cheerfully when Owen entered, then tensed at his expression. "We have visitors coming," Owen said quickly. "Bad visitors. I need you to hide in the forest. Stay quiet. Stay hidden." "Can you do that?" Pip chirped twice. "No." The creature moved to Owen's side and pressed against his leg. "Pip, please. If they find you, they'll take you away. They might hurt you." Pip chirped twice again, more firmly. The meaning was clear. "I will not leave you." Owen heard vehicles approaching. There was no more time. He grabbed an old tarp and draped it over some equipment in the corner. Get under there. Don't make a sound. Please. Pip reluctantly crawled under the tarp. Owen spread hay around to make it look natural, then walked out to meet the inspection team. Agent Cross was professional and thorough. She checked his fields, his equipment, his storage buildings. Owen's hands were sweating the entire time. One of the alien officials kept sniffing the air, their expression puzzled. You live alone? Cross asked, making notes on her datapad. Since my family died, yes. Anyone else on the property? Workers? Visitors? Just my neighbor Ruth sometimes. She helps during harvest season. Cross nodded and moved toward the barn. Owen's heart nearly stopped. She looked through his tools, his supplies, his feed stores. Her eyes swept over the corner where Pip hid. For a terrible moment, Owen thought he saw the tarp move. But Cross turned away, apparently satisfied. Everything seems in order, she said. Though we've had reports of unusual sounds coming from this area. Loud cries at night. You're anything like that. Just the normal wildlife. Owen lied. Razorbacks howl sometimes. Scares the livestock. Cross studied him carefully. Owen forced himself to meet her eyes steadily. After a long moment, she nodded. If you do hear anything unusual, report immediately. We're investigating possible illegal exotic species in the area. They left. Owen waited until the vehicles disappeared before rushing back to the barn. They're gone, he said, pulling away the tarp. You can come out now. Pip emerged, shaking slightly. The creature had been terrified, but had stayed silent the entire time. Owen hugged Pip close. You did so well. I'm so proud of you. That night, Owen barely slept. He kept thinking about Agent Cross and her questions. They were looking for Pip. Someone had reported the sounds. It was only a matter of time before they came back. Near midnight, Pip woke Owen with urgent chirping. Something was wrong. Owen grabbed his rifle and followed Pip outside. The Dracos was staring at the forest, growling low. Then Owen heard it too. Not razorbacks. Something worse. Rippers. They were smaller than razorbacks, but faster and meaner. They hunted in packs and feared nothing. A swarm of them poured out of the tree line, their eyes reflecting the moonlight. 20 at least. Maybe more. Owen fired. One ripper dropped, but the others kept coming. There were too many. Way too many. Pip roared and rushed forward. Fire blazed from the young Dracos, creating a wall between Owen and the pack. The rippers scattered, but regrouped quickly. They were used to fire. It scared them, but did not stop them. Owen fired again and again, backing toward the house. Pip fought like a creature possessed, claws and teeth and flame working together. But the rippers were overwhelming them through sheer numbers. Owen felt teeth sink into his leg, and he went down hard. Pip shrieked in fury. The Dracos threw themselves over Owen, protecting him with their own body. Claws raked across Pip's scales. The creature cried out in pain, but did not move. Then a rifle cracked from the darkness. Once, twice, 3 times. Agent Cross emerged from the shadows, her weapon raised. She fired with mechanical precision, dropping rippers with each shot. The alien officials were with her, using strange energy weapons that sent the creatures flying. The rippers, finally facing too much resistance, fled back into the forest. Silence fell. Owen lay on the ground, Pip still covering him protectively. Agent Cross approached slowly, her weapon now pointed at Pip. Get away from him, Cross ordered. Now! Pip growled but did not move. She's protecting me, Owen said through gritted teeth. His leg was bleeding badly. She saved my life. That a Dracos, Cross said coldly. Illegal to harbor without proper authorization. I could have you arrested. Then arrest me, Owen said. But don't hurt her. She's just a child. Cross stared at them both. Pip and Owen, bleeding and exhausted, neither willing to leave the other. We need to talk, Cross finally said. All of us. Right now. Owen sat in his kitchen while Ruth bandaged his leg. Agent Cross stood by the door, her weapon holstered now, but her expression unreadable. The 2 alien officials waited outside. Pip refused to leave Owen's side, pressing close and making worried sounds. You followed us, Owen said. It was not a question. Cross nodded. Your neighbor Ruth is a terrible liar. When we questioned her separately, her story had too many holes. I knew something was here. I just didn't expect this. She gestured to Pip, who growled softly. So what happens now? Ruth asked, tying off the bandage tighter than necessary. You arrest him? Take Pip away. That's the regulation, Cross admitted. Dracos are classified as high-risk predators. Harboring one without authorization is a serious offense. She's a refugee, Owen said firmly. Her family was killed in whatever war is happening out there. She crashed here alone, injured and terrified. I couldn't just let her die. I understand that. But the law exists for a reason. Dracos are dangerous. So are humans, Owen shot back. We've proven that plenty of times. Should every species in the galaxy lock us up just because we're capable of violence? Cross was quiet for a moment. You make a fair point. That creature just saved his life, Ruth added. She put herself between Owen and those rippers. That doesn't sound like a mindless predator to me. Pip chirped and gently touched Owen's injured leg with their snout, careful not to hurt him. The gesture was so tender, so full of concern, that even Cross's expression softened slightly. How long has she been here? Cross asked. 3 weeks. Her name is Pip. Owen stroked Pip's head. She understands simple commands. She's learning human gestures. She's smart, empathic, and she's never once threatened anyone who didn't threaten us first. Cross pulled out her datapad and began typing notes. The council will want a full report. If I file this accurately, they'll order immediate removal. Pip will be taken to a containment facility. Depending on the political climate, she might be sent back to the war zone. No, Owen said flatly. That's not happening. You don't have a choice. Then I'll fight. I'll contact every media outlet in this sector. I'll make sure everyone knows the Galactic Council is ripping away a traumatized child from the only safe home she's ever known. Cross looked at him sharply. You're serious. Completely. Silence filled the kitchen. Cross studied Owen, then Pip, then back to Owen. Finally, she sighed and put away her datapad. There might be another option, she said slowly. It's a loophole, a big one, but it could work. What kind of loophole? Ruth asked. Emotional support and working animals are exempt from the exotic species regulations. If Pip could be classified as a domesticated companion, registered under Owen's guardianship, the council would have no grounds for removal. Owen's heart leaped. Can we do that? It's never been done with the Dracos before. I'd have to falsify certain details in my report. Say that Pip was raised from hatching in human care, that she's been socialized and trained, that she poses no threat to the community. Cross met Owen's eyes. If anyone discovers the truth, I lose my job. Maybe face criminal charges. Why would you risk that? Owen asked. Cross was quiet for a long moment. Because I watched that creature protect you like you were her family. Because I've seen too many regulations that prioritize procedure over compassion. And because you're right. Pip deserves better than to be treated like a weapon just because of what species she is. Ruth grinned. I always knew you had a soft spot, Cross. Don't spread that around, Cross said dryly. But she was smiling slightly. What about the community? Owen asked. If word spreads, they might demand Pip be removed anyway. Let me handle that, Ruth said. I know everyone in this settlement. I can talk to them, make them understand. The next evening, Ruth called a town meeting. Nearly every colonist showed up, curious and concerned. Owen stood in front of them all, Pip at his side. I know you've all heard strange sounds recently, Owen began. I know there have been rumors, so I'm here to tell you the truth. He explained everything. The crash, the rescue, the past 3 weeks. Some people looked shocked. Others looked angry. A few looked frightened. That thing could kill us all, someone shouted from the back. Her name is Pip, Owen said firmly. And she saved my life twice now. Once from razorbacks and once from rippers. She's protected my farm, which borders most of yours. She's never threatened anyone who didn't deserve it. A woman in the front row stood. Owen recognized her as Helen, whose farm was next to his. My daughter saw something fighting off predators near our fence line last week. That was her. Pip chirped softly. She protected your land, Owen said, just like she's protected mine. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Not all hostile now. Some thoughtful. Then a small boy broke away from his mother and walked straight up to Pip. The crowd gasped. The mother started forward, but Ruth held her back. The boy looked up at Pip with wide eyes. "Are you nice?" Pip lowered their head and made a gentle humming sound. The boy giggled and patted Pip's snout. Pip's eyes half closed in contentment. "She's soft," the boy announced, "and warm. I like her." The tension in the room shifted. People began talking among themselves, no longer quite so afraid. Agent Cross stood. "I've filed my report with the Galactic Council. Pip is registered as a domesticated companion animal under Owen Keller's guardianship. As long as she remains non-threatening to the community, she's legal to keep here." The vote was called. It was not unanimous. Some people still voted to have Pip removed, but the majority voted to let her stay. Owen felt tears on his face and did not bother to hide them. Pip pressed against him, humming that comforting sound. They had done it. Together. Spring came to Frontier 7. The fields turned green and the air warmed. 6 months had passed since Pip crashed into Owen's life. The young Dracos had grown. Not much, but enough that Owen needed to adjust the doorways in his house. Pip spent most nights sleeping at the foot of Owen's bed now, a warm, protective presence that kept the nightmares away for both of them. The settlement had adapted too. Children no longer ran screaming when they saw Pip. Instead, they begged their parents for permission to visit Owen's farm to see the dragon. Pip was gentle with them, patient and playful. The broken wing remained twisted, a permanent reminder of that terrible crash, but Pip had learned to move gracefully despite it. Owen was repairing a fence post when a vehicle approached. He tensed instinctively, but relaxed when he saw it was Agent Cross. She climbed out, looking tired. "We need to talk." "What's wrong?" Owen asked. "Nothing's wrong. Actually, something's very right." Cross pulled out her data pad. "Your story spread. Word about Pip reached other colonies, other sectors. I've been getting messages." "What kind of messages?" "From other Dracos refugees. One's fleeing the war, looking for safe places to land." Cross showed him the screen. There were dozens of requests. "They're asking if Frontier 7 would accept them. If you would help them the way you helped Pip." Owen stared at the messages, overwhelmed. "That's too many. I can't take care of all of them." "You wouldn't have to do it alone," Cross said. "The Galactic Council is willing to designate Frontier 7 as a neutral refuge zone. They'll provide funding, resources, support staff. But they need someone local to oversee it. Someone the refugees trust." "Why me?" "Because you saw a suffering child and helped without hesitation. Because you risked everything to protect Pip. Because word has spread across the galactic network about the human farmer who taught a Dracos what kindness looks like." Cross smiled. "You're famous, Owen. And more importantly, you're trusted." Pip appeared from the barn, sensing Owen's emotional turmoil. The Dracos pressed against his side, humming softly. "What do you think?" Owen asked Pip. "Should we help others like you?" Pip chirped once. "Yes." Enthusiastically, yes. Ruth walked over from her farm, wiping dirt from her hands. "I heard vehicles. What's happening?" Cross explained the proposal. Ruth listened carefully, then nodded. "My farm borders yours. I've got extra land. We could expand the shelter across both properties." "You do that?" Owen asked. "Of course I would." Pip proved these creatures aren't monsters. They're just people who look different than us. If we can give them a safe place, we should. Over the next few weeks, Frontier 7 transformed. The Council sent construction crews to build proper shelters. Medical facilities were established. Communication networks were set up so refugees could contact their scattered family members. The first transport arrived on a cool morning. 3 adult Dracos emerged, scarred and weary. They saw Pip and made sounds of joy and relief. Pip responded in kind. Their scales glowing bright blue point, one of the adults approached Owen carefully. They were much larger than Pip, easily twice Owen's height. But their eyes held the same fear and hope that Pip's had shown 6 months ago. "Thank you," the Dracos said in halting human speech. "Thank you for showing kindness to our young one. For showing the galaxy that not all humans fear us." Owen felt his throat tighten. "Everyone deserves a safe place. That's all I did. That's all any of us should do." More refugees came. Not just Dracos, but other species fleeing conflicts across the sector. Owen found himself coordinating with council officials, managing resources, helping traumatized beings find peace. It was exhausting work, but it was meaningful. One evening, Owen sat on his porch with Pip. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. In the fields beyond, various alien species worked alongside human colonists, planting crops together. "Your wing never healed right," Owen said softly, touching the twisted appendage. "I'm sorry about that. I try my best." Pip made a gentle sound and nuzzled Owen's hand. Then, carefully, Pip spoke. The words were rough and slow, but unmistakable. "You saved me. Wing does not matter." Owen stared. "You can talk. Learning. Slow, but learning." Pip's golden eyes were warm. "You taught me words. You taught me trust. You taught me that family is not just blood. Family is choice." Tears rolled down Owen's face. "You're my family too, Pip. You and everyone here. You all are." "Question," Pip said. "You told me once you felt empty. House too big, too quiet. Do you still feel empty?" Owen looked around, at the bustling settlement, at the various beings who had found safety here, at Ruth arguing with a council official about crop rotation, at children, human and alien, playing together in the evening light, at Pip, the injured refugee who had crashed into his life and changed everything. "No," Owen said, "I don't feel empty anymore. I feel full. Almost too full sometimes." Pip hummed happily. "Good. I feel full too. Full of hope. Full of home." They sat together as the stars emerged. The same stars that had seen war and death and destruction, but also the same stars that had guided a small escape pod to crash on a remote farm, that had brought together a grieving human and a traumatized alien child, that now watched over a growing community built on compassion rather than fear. Owen had lost his first family to violence, but in saving Pip, he had found a new family, one that crossed species and worlds and all the boundaries that should have kept them apart. Pip had sought shelter in desperation. What they found was so much more. They found a human with an open heart, and in that heart, they found home. Together, they would make sure others found the same.